Hi, everybody. This is Dr. Courtney Pegram with Quarantine Parenting. Hi, thanks for being here with me today. I'm super excited. We have an extra special guest, and I can't wait to introduce her. She's amazing, and she's going to tell us all about how to fuel our body with good foods and with how do we, what language do we need to use for our children and what we can do as parents, because sometimes we don't even know what we're saying and how the impact it has. So I'm really excited to introduce her. So I have Rita Ekelman here, executive director and a dietitian, and she's going to introduce herself because I think I've messed up 3 words so far. So why don't you take it over, Rita? Thank you.
Thanks, Courtney. So my name again is Rita Ekelman. I'm the executive director for SunCloud Health, as well as a dietitian. Just a little bit about SunCloud Health. We're a PHP IOP program, so a partial hospitalization and intensive outpatient program for adults currently 18 years and up in the northwest suburbs of Chicago, so Northbrook, Chicago, Lincoln Park, as well as Naperville. Thank you so much for having me on today, Courtney.
Oh, thank you. Thanks. So the reason I brought you on is parents have been asking me, like, what can I do to get my kids' body moving, to get them like eating healthy or just paying attention to what they're eating or putting in their bodies, because I even notice if I'm not fueling my body with good foods or just foods that give me energy, I'm like more sluggish or, you know. So what are your thoughts on that? Can you walk me through like what you think?
Yeah, absolutely. So, you know, with kids, I think the biggest thing around with them is that they want to be involved in stuff. They want to be involved in part of the making process or learning a new skill. And I think with all of us being at home right now, this is a great time to do some of that. So what I like to do is I like to start planning my meals for the week on a Sunday evening or over the weekend. So I end up planning what breakfast, lunches, and dinners are for my family through the week. And then, you know, I end up we sit down as a family, we talk about what we want to make, some fun meals like Taco Tuesdays, Pizza Wednesdays, you know, Salad Thursdays, whatever it may be, Soup Fridays. And then we want to make sure that the kids are involved as well. It's really, really important. And then we look up some recipes that are really cool or really exciting. I have the kids join in on that as well. And then we go and make a grocery list off of that. And we go to the grocery store. And I know now that they're, you know, really people are allowing, I don't know if whole families can go to the grocery store depending on, you know, where people live, but that's how I build off of what we're making for the week. And that way there's some type of set schedule that we have, as well as a set meal plan that we have too. So we know what we're buying. We're also saving on money because we're not randomly shopping in aisles that we don't need to. And also we have everything prepped for the week that we need. And then I make sure that we stick to a schedule. Although everybody's home, we want to make sure we're still waking up by 8 o'clock in the morning. We want to make sure we're having breakfast at the same time or similar time every day. Same thing with lunch and dinner. And then adding in a few snacks as well. Exercise is the same thing, making it fun. And so maybe doing some kind of family yoga movement in the morning or in the evening, getting the kids out to play, or doing some fun games in the backyard or front yard or street, whatever, you know, people have available to them at this time.
Oh, good. I really love what you said. So let me capture those strategies because I took some notes because I need to start using them. So it sounds like really sticking to a consistent schedule, even though we're home all day and, you know, things are different, like, you know, having a schedule. I love what you said about getting our children involved in like the meal prep. So finding the recipes, getting a theme for each day of the week, and then putting the list together. It's like a whole approach, right? So like when we think about the whole child approach, I mean, that's perfect. And then if we can bring them to the grocery store, so they're actually picking and choosing the produce and the stuff, you have so much buy-in into the actual process of making a meal. I mean, I think that's brilliant. I love that idea.
Yeah.
And then I also think that you brought up some good points as far as like being structured and like meal prep. You know, I was great with meal prep before quarantine, but now it's more like out the window. So
Yeah.
how do I start again, like getting into the habit of meal prepping? What are some suggestions so that I can empower my children?
Yeah, so as soon as you get home from the grocery store, unpack everything, and start cutting up. You know, I know if I don't cut up my strawberries and take the grapes off the vines, nobody's going to touch them and nobody's going to wash them, right? So it's important making sure that everything's prepped and kind of ready to go, and have the kids involved in, you know, cutting and chopping and washing, you know, depending on their age. And just as soon as you get those groceries in, making sure that everything is set to go at that time. That way everything's done. You don't have to worry about it for the week.
Oh, I love that. So like really having some snack foods on hand that are easy to grab, that like are really like fruits or vegetables, like having everything cut up, it's more likely kids are going to eat it.
Absolutely.
Good. Now, as we shift into like middle school and high school, that's some of the areas that I work in schools. And so a lot of my kids have like different attitudes and aren't so open about like moving your body. They'd rather be on TikTok or on video games. Like, what is some advice for parents to either get their bodies moving or eating healthy or eating consistently, right? Like, because they might just be eating one meal a day, or like,
Yeah.
so what do you think?
Yeah, so alarm clocks work great, really loud alarm clocks, for those teenagers that don't necessarily want to get up out of bed. You know, but when we look at moving our bodies, like you mentioned TikTok, you know, there are some, you know, with parental controls on them, TikTok has a lot of different ways that we can move our bodies, and different dances that are done on there that are appropriate. And I think with, you know, parents oversights, I think that it can be a really fun way to get the whole family involved in some movement and do, you know, like some kind of dance routine. I think that would be really fantastic. Think about looking back at that, you know, at 20 years from now, and see, like those memories, right, will always be there. So I truly think that, you know, dancing, finding, like asking the kids, what do you guys want to do? Have the kids, you know, as reluctant as they may be, here's like, you're the parent for the day. Plan out what you want to do for some movement, plan out what you want to do for food, you know, just getting creative in the moment. And, you know, each kid's going to be different. Some are going to be super excited and others are going to be like, I don't want to do this. But give it back to them, especially if they're in high school, you know, or let's do gym class. What do you usually do in gym class? Or what do they love to do? And do some of that with them, even though, you know, the parents might not love basketball or baseball or whatever it may be, lacrosse, maybe the kids can teach the parents.
Oh,
So,
I think
so
that's
again,
yeah.
putting it back on them.
And I love what you bring, because there's so many points of social emotional learning that you're tying into, like empowering our kids, setting goals, right? Making positive choices, right? So I know that I think a lot of teenagers would love to plan the day for the parents. Like, I'm going to plan your day, right? And I'm going to plan the meals.
Yeah.
And it can create some amazing memories, but it's also giving them responsibility. Like, these are life skills. Like, how do you plan a day? You know, what meals are you going to do? What time? What physical activity? I think I really enjoyed like teaching your parents a sport.
Yeah.
Right. So that would be fun too. And I agree on the TikTok challenge. Like, I really want to get my family onto doing one of those dances, but
Yeah.
I'm like Elaine on Seinfeld when it comes to dancing. So I don't know if that's going to happen.
You know, I think at this point it's kind of, you have dance moves, you don't have dance moves. It's kind of, everybody's taking everything, you know, with let's add some humor into life right now.
Good. So yeah, so I agree. Like, adding humor is really important, especially because if we're so used to structure and everything's been ripped from us, it can be hard to find some control. When it comes to nutrition and moving our bodies, what are some tips that you have so that as parents we feel that we're doing the best we can in these moments?
Yeah. So in regards to nutrition, we want to make sure that, you know, we aren't like villainizing any types of foods, and that we're, you know, really making sure that we're being cognizant of what we're talking to about our kids around food. So we want to make sure that kids have a good variety. So starch or grain in their, in their meal. We want to make sure that there's some type of fruit or vegetable in their meal, a fat and a protein source. And what that may look like is, let's talk about a slice of pizza, right? You got your carbohydrates in there or your starch, that's bread. You've got some cheese, which could be your protein and your fat. Add a side salad to that, or add some meat on it, on the pizza. You got your protein as well, some more protein, and then the salad, right? So you have some greens and you have some pizza. It's a good mix of some comfort food as well as the vitamins and nutrients that you need from some of the veggies as well. So really, if we're looking at it, we want to make sure that our kids are eating a wholesome meal plan or diet, and making sure that we're including all of our macros and into that meal plan.
Good. So it's like creating that balance. I'm really loving how we're always going back to like a holistic approach. So fruit, veggies, some sort of grain, fiber, fat, and is there like I love the idea of the visual of a pizza, because I can see myself, pizza, salad, nailed it. Do you have any other examples if I'm not being creative?
Yeah, absolutely. So let's take dinner, for instance. We can do, it's grilling season, right? It's beautiful outside today. So chicken breast at the size of your palm would be a good portion size for each individual person. So my palm's smaller than my husband's or than my kids are. So whatever their size of palm, a chicken breast, rice or potatoes on the side, and some type of, let's say, roasted vegetable. That would be a well-rounded meal. We can sub, if the family likes fish, we can sub that chicken out for fish. There's your protein, maybe some rice or some quinoa, some couscous as your starch or carbohydrate, and some kind of vegetable or side salad. When we're looking at breakfast, we can do cereal is a popular one, right, with the kids, so cereal and milk, and then adding some type of fruit to that, and potentially some protein, just depending, on what the kid likes. I also recommend adding a few snacks in through the day. If you're adding in snacks that are planned for the day, there's less, both parents and kids are less likely to graze all day because you have some structure around both meals and snacks.
I love the idea of having planned snacks. I know that homeschooling my daughter, it's been difficult because she's like, I want a snack, I want a snack, I want a snack. I think if I have that planned out, and if I cut up my vegetables and have it just available, it's such an easy fix. I also like how you brought up the ideas of the grilling foods, because it is grilling season. So always not just the meat, but getting the veggies, the grains is important. And that gives us a good visual of what we can create really quickly. So as a parent, as a mother, and just being who I am, so sometimes, obviously with quarantine, I couldn't work out as much. I could. I make not the best choices as far as I'm not working out as much as I am, and I'm feeling more self-conscious. I might have been putting on some weight, what are some languages or some things that I can say in my household that won't impact my daughter? That I'm not being I'm not using, I don't want to say bad words, but more of a language of love when it comes around food, especially since I'm struggling.
Yeah. So, it's hard, kids notice a lot more than we think they do, the little ones and the big ones. And so, when we're talking, when we make these comments, and it might not be something that we're even conscious of sometimes, it's, maybe putting on, trying on a dress or some pants or something, oh my God, I feel like I gained, X amount of weight, or I feel so bloated, or I feel, kids really notice that and they take that in. And so my recommendation is to try to, when we're talking about our bodies or anybody else's bodies in general, not talking about what something feels like on your body, but talking about oh, I did my hair today, or oh, your hair looks great, or this, or you're wearing a really pretty shirt, something around that. versus talking about what our bodies feel like. Our kids really grasp onto that. And then, I can use this example of a patient that I had previously that thought, their mother was the most beautiful person in the whole world. And then the mom took his daughter to buy some clothes and was trying on some clothes and just said a simple comment about, I feel like, I've gained some weight and, I'm not feeling so great about myself. And that patient that held that for a really long time into adulthood, because for that little girl, their mother was the most beautiful thing to them and their mother was perfect. So,
That breaks my heart.
yeah, so, it's your kids see you as a parent in a very different way than we see ourselves.
Oh, I mean, that story is really touching. I mean, I think it grabs to any mother's heartstrings because sometimes we say things and we don't mean it. And you're right. Like our kids either see themselves exactly like us, like they're a mini us, or they're like we're their hero and like we're putting ourselves down. So they hold on to that. So I think that's an important message.
Yeah.
So what are some positive language that I can use in my household that can really create balance?
Yeah. Some things that I really love to do is just talking about, really like lovingly talking about ourselves. Like instead of what are things that we don't like about ourselves, changing that mindset and saying, like, when you're hearing yourself as an adult saying, like, starting to even think about, I don't like how this looks or that looks, really quickly change that and try. It's hard. You have to kind of train yourself to do this, but really quickly instead say something that you really truly love about yourself. Even if it's that you did your hair today and it looks beautiful and curly, or that you love, the gray hair that's growing in, because we can't go to salons and get our hair done, or my eyes are beautiful, whatever it may be, my teeth are very straight. The other thing is, what do our bodies do for us that are positive, right? So, like I am very short and I have short legs. I don't necessarily love that. And also, I can't really do anything about it. So, what do my legs do for me? They help me walk, they help me run, they help me, do basically everything else because I need them to be able to get places, right? What do my arms do for me? My arms help me carry my baby around and hold my baby and, put her to sleep and make them food. So really more so changing that mindset of what my body is doing for me versus what it's not doing for me.
Wow, I think that really brings it back to like using those positive affirmations and changing our story. So not like really creating like, what do I love about myself, or how do these different parts of the body work for us? So good. So what are some things that you recommend so that as we move into phase 1 and phase 2 of reintegration, that we keep ourselves healthy and active? What are some key takeaways that, like, if I'm a parent, this is my guidelines or my task list for the day or week?
Yeah. So I recommend keeping that meal plan or meal guide, that I was talking about earlier, as a constant, using that as a safety net and always going back to that. Like, here's what time we're having lunch, here's what time we're having dinner, here's what time we're having breakfast, and adding a few snacks. Always having a goal of doing some type of movement during the day. I think that, if we're setting goals the evening before, and it's the whole family, right? Setting goals the evening before, at least like 2 or 3 of them, not 10, because it's hard to get 10 things done, right? But it's a lot easier to get just a few things done. I would set some goals the day before or that morning, and also sticking to a schedule when it comes to moving our bodies, when it comes to eating, grocery shopping, and planning food. And I think that really, like, again, talking about memories and what we can take out of this time is how much time we're actually getting to spend with our family and some of these new experiences that we're able to have.
Right. So to capture what you said, because I think these strategies are critical, it's really being structured, consistent, right, and repetitive in our behaviors. So, creating a schedule, meal plan, setting goals the night before, not 10 of them, like, even one is you're winning, right?
Yes.
And I love the fact that getting the whole family involved, where there's empowerment, also delegating things, making it a family project versus just one parent taking that on.
Yeah.
And then I want to recap what you said too, is really paying attention as parents how we talk about our body, because it has an impact on our children. And now we're home all the time, so it's like, you know, we're always together, so we may not even be realizing what we're saying out loud.
Yeah.
So, and it sounds like positive affirmations, right? Like, so
yeah. Very, very, it's important. I think it's important for, you know, as parents, for our own mental health as well, you know, and for the kids. We're teaching them a new language, right? Because what society keeps on teaching us, or social media, is you need to do this to get to this size, or you need to do this to you know, have this many likes. Well, you really don't, right? It's you know, it's more about like what our self-worth is, and teaching your child what their self-worth is, you know, and making sure that they're, you know, not necessarily grasping on too much to what media and other people are saying.
Right, because social media is a big part of our lives right now. It's how we're staying connected. It's how we view the world sometimes, especially our kids. So as we close off our interview, what are some closing thoughts or things that I have not covered that you find is important to share to parents?
Yeah, you know, just making sure, you know, that we're checking in with our kids on, you know, multiple times a day. I know that everyone's super busy, working from home and teaching from home, and, you know, doing everything else, but making sure that, you know, we're checking in with the kids, because even, you know, if they're 12 or 18, you know, their lives are also changing. And have changed, and we want to make sure that we're, you know, seeing them through some of these changes as well, and helping them out. And then, you know, also noticing any significant changes that we're seeing as parents in your children's behavior. So, you know, if just noticing if they are, you know, acting differently, if they're requesting different you know, different foods, or cutting out certain foods, or wanting to go on a certain diet, you know, or just changing the way that they're wearing their clothes, or the type of clothes. We want to notice those things, and just be more curious. I use this word a lot, curious, instead of, you know, being the parent police. Just be curious about why they want to do certain things. You know, and it could very well be that, I don't know, that, you know, maybe they really like tofu and they want to become a vegetarian, or they love animals, and, you know, they're, you know, it's the ethical piece in them, you know, or maybe that, you know, they're, you know, learning some, you know, disordered eating behaviors, and we want to make sure that we're catching some of that early on.
Oh, good. So really, like, checking in on our kids is critical during quarantine,
Yeah.
right? I mean, every day, but especially now.
Yes.
We're all in the same house, so we just assume we're together all the time. But checking in, I love that. Good. Well, I am just wowed by these strategies you gave me. Like, I feel like that I just filled my parent toolkit with things I can do. I mean, I just thank you. I'm so grateful for this moment, and for the stories and the visuals you gave us. It's so easy to follow. Like, so thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me on.
Thank you. Where can people find you if they want to learn more about you or about your organization?
Yeah, so LinkedIn, they can search my name, Rita Ekelman, or SunCloud Health. And all of my information, including emails, are up there, and I'd be more than happy to answer any questions. Also, if people want to email me at Rita at suncloudhealth.com, also available to that as well.
Oh, good. Thank you. Because I'm sure some parents might have some questions, or just some follow-up, or just to have you as a resource. You're just wonderful. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you. Take care. Okay. Bye.
Bye.